everyone, this is Lynn Wilson at Lynn Wilson Originals here in Mills River, North Carolina. Yesterday, what we did was basically just cover the top. I reinforced the padding. I put some cotton batting in there to make it a little bit softer. And typically, when I've done several of these footstools, and usually the wood part comes up to the top. So you're just reupholstering the top. Or the alternative is that the fabric goes all the way underneath and staples underneath. For some reason, when I took this footstool apart, they had done it in 2 steps. They upholstered the top, and then there was cording, and then the bottom was upholstered. So I just wanted to come on and show you how to go about getting a nice line through here. So if you can see, I've put my my cording on, or welting is the correct word, I guess, double welting. And I stapled it on and put I think this is called a tack strip. It's just a piece of cardboard that butts up against your cording. So, and as for the cording, I opted to do double welting. I think that oftentimes just looks a little bit more modern. And so in order to do that, you'll cut a piece of fabric just a little bit wider, but about 3 inches. And when you sew it, you go and you'll sew one side. You can see here, you're going to sew right down the center, and then you flip it and you sew down the middle again. It's got this little, you can see here it's coming apart, but it's 2 pieces together, and I always, when I do it, I tape the ends, because this is what can happen. They can come apart. And I sew this on my sewing machine. I do have an upholstery machine. I have a console, which I absolutely love, and it can handle this thicker fabric. I know there's some regular machines that can handle this too. I think Bernina's can do it. And I used a walking foot to be able to sew this. So now, when I took it apart, this bottom piece had been sewn together. There were 4 pieces of fabric, separate pieces of fabric, that were sewn so that you would have seams at each corner. And the one thing that I always remember when I'm taking pieces of upholstery off, because a lot of times, you know, you're going to use them as your pattern, is that when 2 pieces are sewn, you want to cut those exactly. Something like the width here didn't really matter, but this is my pattern, and so I want to make sure that I I cut exactly where pieces have been sewn together. Typically, I leave like an inch or 2 when I'm cutting my pattern. Like when I did the top here, I left a good couple of inches to have some extra. So now, and I apologize if my air compressor goes off. It always makes me jump when it happens. But I've got my staple gun ready to go. And this is just a Freeman. I got it off of Amazon, and it might have been $40 or so. You can spend a lot on staple guns, but you don't really have to if you're just, you know, doing it as a hobby. And I did put my Amazon link in there so you can see all the tools that I use for upholstery. So I've got my, let's see if you're going to be able to see. Oh, and this has been painted in Dixie Belle's from the new silk line. I think it's called Anchor. I really like it. Usually when I'm doing my chairs and I've painted them with chalk paint and I've got them on the ground, the paint chips off, even with a couple of coats of top coat. And I've been very impressed and happy with this paint, that I've been able to put this on the ground. I don't have any chips, and that's exactly why I use this paint, because typically in my house, chair legs and table legs tend to get a little beat up by the vacuum cleaner and my dogs. So I'm going to now start, and I'm hoping, I think I'm going to try to pull this down a little bit so maybe you can see better. Where I have my tack strip in here, the cardboard. I'm going to put my little skirt, for lack of a better word, over the chair and line up my corners. But now I'm going to staple upside down, because what I want to do is I want to staple and then be able to flip down like this and have a really nice, neat seam, so to speak, or so I don't see edges. So I do it upside down, if that makes sense. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. All right, I'm gonna take this off because I can't figure out which are my long sides. Okay, I had it on wrong. These are my short sides. So I've got to get my short sides and my long sides straightened up. There, now my corners are where they're supposed to be. I was getting a little nervous there that my corners weren't in the corners. So I am going to just start in the corner that gave me the most problems. And that was just where I had to have my cording meet. As you know, it was one long piece of cording and you're going around, and when you get to the ends, you need to, open up your fabric, put one end in, and make a neat seam. Well, that's a little bulky, so I'm gonna make sure I start with that area. So I have to pull it all the way up because I want to get this to fold down. So I'm just feeling for where that cording is. And I'm going to get up as tight as I can to the cording. So I'm just checking here. All right, it's looking good. Again, I just want to get up tight as I can up against that cording so that you don't see a gap. So for the corners, I'm going to get as close as I can on one side and then as close as I can on the other side. And again, I'm just checking right now to see how close I'm getting, and it's looking pretty clean. So it's kind of hard to see with this fabric, but there's the top, there's the cording, and there's the piece that I just stapled on. And so this, as I get around to these legs, I'm going to be cutting it and wrapping it around underneath. So I get a lot of my supplies from Genco Supplies. You can look them up. I also get a lot of stuff off of Amazon. But these staples are, let's see, 1/2 inch. All right, now the moment of truth. So you can see, again, I apologize, this pattern is a little hard to see, but I've got now a nice edge where the top and the bottom meet, and it's covered by my welting. And so, like I said, the next step will just be to go around and wrap this underneath. So I'm going to have to make some cuts here to get around the legs. I'm going to fill out these corners with a little batting to take up the extra room. So I actually am going to stop now. So I hope that was helpful to see at least how to get a clean seam or clean top and bottom meeting by using this cording. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, please just put them down in the comment. Bye-bye.